Okay, so welcome to the afternoon session of Training Bytes. We are going to be talking about basic loss prevention today. If you have any questions, enter your questions in the chat on the Ring Central toolbar, and at the end of the session, we'll have a Q&A, and I'll answer any questions that you have. My name is Gina Thomas. I'm the training manager at C&K Systems, and your hostess for Training Bytes, a digestible approach to counterpoint training. And again, today we're going to talk about some basic loss prevention. A lot of people don't realize this, but the majority of your theft is internal theft. And I'm actually going to show you some statistics on that in the next slide. Some associates steal by manipulating transactions in the software. So here's some by the numbers about retail shrinkage. Almost 43% is due to employee theft. Shoplifting is 35%. Administrative errors, 15%. And by administrative errors, I mean not processing receivings or transfers or adjustments or point of sale documents accurately. Vendor fraud, this surprises a lot of people. Vendor fraud accounts for almost 4% of your shrinkage, and that could be the vendor overshipping you product and just hoping you pay the bill for what they overshipped, or undershipping but still giving you a bill for the full shipment. And then unknown about 4%. On average, it takes 2 years to detect a theft problem. Some demographics about employee theft. Men are more likely to steal than women. People with a high school degree or a bachelor's degree are more likely to steal than people with just some college. And people with a postgraduate degree are least likely to steal. Some internal theft red flags that you want to pay attention to. If you notice in the course of reporting that your cost of goods is increasing, but your sales are flat or decreasing, that's a red flag. If you notice that sales fall consistently when a certain associate or associates work, that's a red flag. And notice I have associates plural. I found in my retail career that if I had a thief at one store, I most likely had more than one thief. If you find that a certain associate or associates have a high rate of returns or voids, that's a red flag. And also consistent over and shorts in your cash. So an overage is just as bad as a shortage, just so you know. Just means it can't count very well when they're stealing cash. So in this session, Basic Loss Prevention, I'm going to talk to you about some loss prevention reporting, returns, voids, price exceptions. I'm going to remind you to check your holds and your quotes. And this is for Counterpoint front-end users. If you're a Galaxy user, you won't have holds or quotes in Counterpoint. Holds and quotes can be used as a theft vehicle. And then in this slide presentation, I'm just going to touch a little bit on some basic loss prevention best practices. So when it comes to these three reports that I think you should run on a regular basis, that would be merchandise returns, voided transactions. These are for post voids, void afters, a void that after a sale has been completed. Price exceptions. This report is to look at on the fly line price overrides in point of sale. And the reason why you want to run these on a regular basis is you want to establish a norm. What's normal for returns, voids, and price exceptions? So if you come to the conclusion over time that it's fairly normal to have 5 returns a week or 5 voids a week or 5 price exceptions a week, and all of a sudden that spikes, that's cause for concern, and you need to dig a little bit deeper. Now, it could be something that's not nefarious. It could be that maybe you had some defective merchandise and it all got returned, or maybe you have somebody new and they get a little ahead of themselves. But it could also be something nefarious. So you definitely want to run these reports. Some basics for running these three reports. They are history reports, so you want to filter for dates on all three reports. Otherwise, you're going to get that history from the dawn of time. Again, run the reports on a regular basis, whether it's weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly, and start asking questions when you notice things don't look right. And you're going to ask questions in a nice way. I mean, I wouldn't be accusatory. You're just going to ask questions. And when you do ask those questions, it raises awareness with your associates. It lets them know that you are looking. And somebody who might be a little bit nervous about that awareness just might go to lunch and never come back. Your return customers. I think it's a great idea that when you're processing a return that you capture customer information, name and phone number, because you want to call those customers from a customer service perspective. How was your return handled? I see you returned this item. Just wanted to make sure that the associate treated you politely. Did they offer you an exchange? Every once in a while, you're going to get, "Huh, I've never been to your store." So, way back when I was a district manager, I had an assistant manager that was doing bogus refunds by finding random names in a phone book. And this is the most common way people steal from you internally is by doing bogus refunds. Now, in today's day and age, we don't have telephone books, or I haven't seen one in a long time, but we have the internet, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. So do call those customers. So in sales history, under reports is the return ticket report. Again, so important to run this report. Again, the most favorite way people steal bogus refunds to either cash that they will pocket or to their own credit card or their friends' credit cards. Also, under sales history reports is the voided ticket report. You can also go into sales history views and see your post voids. Again, voids are a theft vehicle. Sales associate rings up a sale, the customer pays with cash, they get the receipt, they leave with the merchandise, and then the sales associate voids the sale and pockets the cash. Price exceptions, line price overrides on the fly at point of sale. Also in sales history reports, you want to run this on a regular basis to make sure your people aren't giving away the store, that they're not giving deep discounts to their friends or family. Check your holds. Holds are another theft vehicle. The formal report is in point of sale, reports, hold report, and there's also a view under point of sale views. Holds can be a theft vehicle in this respect. Ringing up a sale, the customer's paying cash, the associate pretends there's a computer malfunction. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't print a receipt. You know, computers can't live with them, can't live without them. But here's your merchandise. Then they'll take the cash and just place the ticket on hold, not realizing that holds don't automatically delete themselves at the end of the day because they do not. Holds stay on hold forever. Now, holds don't affect your inventory, they don't affect your end of day reporting, but they do stay on hold forever, and they have to be manually processed. Same with quotes. Quotes can be used as a theft vehicle as well. Sales associates ringing up a customer. They say they're paying with cash. Again, they feign a computer problem. Sorry, I can't give you a receipt, but here's your merchandise. Then they convert that sale into a quote. Again, not realizing that quotes don't auto delete themselves at the end of the day or after their 30-day expiration date. Your quote report can be found under point of sale reports, quotes report, or you can go to point of sale views and look at your existing quotes. You also want to monitor your drawer history for over and shorts. And today I'm going to show you how to leverage your drawer history. So it's not a real granular, long 50-page report, but maybe a page or half a page, for a spanning date range, and just to monitor those over and shorts. So some loss prevention best practices. Compare your this year returns, voids, and price overrides to last year. Now, of course, this has been kind of an odd year, so hopefully they're incredibly low compared to last year. But if your returns, voids, and price overrides are higher this year than last year, it's probably a little bit of a red flag. If payroll allows it, 2 people in the store at all times, bag and trash checks. By bag, I mean handbag, backpack. By trash, I mean trash that's going out of the store. It's pretty common tactic for an internal thief to offer to take out the trash and they grab some merchandise, stick it in the trash bag, take it out to the dumpster, and then retrieve it at the end of their shift. When I was in retail, I would not allow my associates to make purchases during their shift or to try on clothes during their shift. They're working, they're supposed to be taking care of customers, not making purchases or trying on clothes, which can be used as a distraction. Check your deposit slips and make sure they're validated. I had a store manager that used to borrow money temporarily, and what he would do is he would fill out a deposit slip, pretend to take the money to the bank, but keep it, and then take that deposit slip and put it in with the media. Then, when the next pay period came around, he'd actually make the deposit, but he would get rid of the validated deposit slip. So, you want to make sure those deposit slips are validated by your bank. Some other loss prevention best practices: don't share passwords or logins. Too often, I see multiple people logging into point of sale with the same user ID and the same password. And it's typically a user ID of POS and probably a password of password or something crazy like that. You need to have each associate have their own login and their own password for accountability, loss prevention, and PCI compliancy. Analyze the high shrink areas in your store. So after you do a physical inventory, you can actually run the physical inventory history report and group it by category and look at the total for each category. In categories that seem higher in shrink than the others, you want to kind of analyze why that might be happening. It might be the location of the merchandise. Maybe it's at the front of the store where it's easy to do a hit and run for external theft, or maybe it's in a blind part of the store where no one can see around a corner. So do analyze as high shrink categories. Make sure you review your mark out of stock items, and by this I mean items that you're adjusting out of inventory. I would never give everyone in my organization the ability to process inventory adjustments because it can be used as a theft vehicle. This process should be highly centralized. So if merchandise is returned because it's damaged and it's going to be thrown away, we want that one special person, that one manager in the store to review the merchandise and then process the inventory adjustments. Then just basic customer service. Make sure all customers are being greeted and acknowledged. Thieves don't like to be noticed. So if you greet and acknowledge or have your associates greet and acknowledge all customers, then a potential thief will be somewhat deterred when they know they've been seen and eye contact has been made. And then again, if it's architecturally possible, eliminate blind spots maybe with curved mirrors or cameras. Okay, so that being said, we are going to go ahead and jump into the software and look at these reports. Just a reminder on the new UI for anyone that's new to this particular version of Counterpoint, you can make favorites by hovering over a module that you want to make a favorite and just clicking inside the star, and it'll add it to your favorites shelf. You can have up to 15 favorites, and favorites are user specific. Another nice feature about the new UI is this little magnifying glass up here. So if you forget the path to something, like, oh, Gina showed us how to run that return report, but I forget where the return report is, you could just actually come up here and type return, and then you will see the path is point of sale, sales history reports, and you can actually click on the report right here in this window. So that's where we're going to start. I'm going to go to sales history, reports, and I'm going to run the return ticket report. When the return ticket report loads, you can use this drop down here on the order by line to arrange the report maybe in store or document or customer order. It's totally up to you. I always enable item detail and show payment detail because someone processing fraudulent returns, they tend to have a favorite item and a favorite payment type. Now remember, we want to come to the ticket history tab and filter for date ranges. Because if you've had Counterpoint for 5 or 6 years and you don't filter for date ranges, you're going to see all your returns from the dawn of time. Now, I don't have that many returns, so I'm just going to go ahead and preview. So when you look at the return report, this up here in this area, this header, this is a key. And what's below it, it's explaining what's below. So this is a ticket number, this is a post date, this is a ticket date, here's the customer, here's the subtotal, here's tax, here's total. In the white area is the item number, the item detail, and then under pay code, how that refund was tendered. And if I go to the very last page and scroll to the bottom, this total down here is a net figure because not all returns are just by themselves. Sometimes you'll have somebody buying and returning something at the same time or doing an exchange. That's returns. Next, I'm going to talk about the price exceptions report, which again, sales history, reports, price exceptions. And just a reminder, this is line price overrides on the fly at point of sale. There's no drop downs here to leverage, so you can come to the ticket history tab and then just filter for a date range. And if you have a lot of stores, if you leave this blank, it is going to return information for all stores. You don't have to click on the All Stores button. But if you just want to look at one store at a time, then just go into the lookup and select that store. So in ticket history, filter for a date range. I don't have too many price overrides, so I'm not going to filter. I'm just going to preview. And when you look at this report, you can see here, this is my main store. And here is the ticket number, the post date, the ticket date, the item number, the item description is right here. And then you have price and normal price. Price is what it rang up as. I'm sorry, normal price is what it rang up as. Price is what it was discounted to. And if you come over to the last column, the difference is expressed as a percentage and then a dollar amount. Okay, and then there's the void report. So again, sales history, reports, voided tickets report. Like with the return report, you can order by, but you only have 3 choices here. Again, you want to enable item detail and show payment detail, and then come to the void history header page and filter for a date range. And remember, these are post voids, a ticket that was completed that somebody later called up and voided. And just as a reminder, you can only void tickets from today's business. You can't void from yesterday or the day before. I'm going to preview. And so again, the key is here. The shaded area is a summary. You have your item detail and then how the payment was tendered. And if I go to the very bottom of the report, I get a grand total. So I can see there were 5 tickets here that were voided in this date range for a total of $992. Now the thing with a void report is it is a what you see is what you get report. So that's where a view comes in. I like views because I can manipulate views. I can't manipulate this report. So if you want to see a a voided ticket view, pardon me, sales history, views, view voided history. Now before I go to the table view, because I probably have a lot of history or you have a lot of history, you want to filter first. Because if you have a lot of history, this table view will take a long time to load. So you're going to click on the filter. You're going to filter for a date range, or you could customize the filter and filter for a particular store or stores. I don't need to because I only have like 5 voids. And then once you have that filter running, you're going to come to the table view. What I like about the table view is it gives me this nice split screen. The top half of the screen is the summary of each voided transaction. The bottom half of the screen is the item detail for the ticket that's highlighted. And the nice thing about this is I don't have to just stick with the columns that are here by default. I can customize the top half of the screen and separately customize the bottom half of the screen. So if I want to right click, go to Column Designer, on the top half of the screen I can add just by double clicking. On the bottom half of the screen, right click, Column Designer, and again I can just select whatever I want, double click, and add it to the bottom half of the screen. So that's the beauty of a view. So let's move on to holds and quotes because they live in a different area as far as reporting is concerned. So your hold and quote report is under point of sale, reports, holds report. Now, if you're not multi-store, then I wouldn't worry about filtering for dates. But if you are multi-store, you might want to filter for a particular store or a couple of stores. If you do want to filter for dates, you can customize this filter here to filter for ticket dates. I'm just going to go ahead and preview. And it just takes a moment for that report to load. That's pretty normal. And so here I can see, if I go to the very bottom, I currently have 5 holds for a value of $1,148. If I don't want a report, because I can't modify the report, then I can access the hold view and manipulate the view. So I'm just going to go start at the beginning. You're going to go to point of sale, views, view holds. If you're multi-store, you might want to filter for a store, 2 or 3, whatever you like, and then come into your table view. Again, it's the same view that we saw earlier with voids. I can customize the top half by going to the column designer. I can customize the bottom half by going to the column designer. I can sort as well, and you can also sort in your void view. So if I want to sort by ticket total, if I sort ascending, the ticket with the least value pulls to the top. If I sort descending, the largest ticket pulls to the top. Or if you have multiple users, you can sort and it'll group up like users. Or if you have multiple stores in this view, you could actually sort ascending or descending, and the view will group by store. Something you cannot do in this view is delete your holds. You can only delete holds in point of sale, and you can't bulk delete. They have to be deleted one at a time. Okay, quotes. Point of sale, reports, and there's a quote report. And again, I typically don't filter for dates here, but if you're multi-store, you might want to filter for a store or two. I'm going to enable line items so I can see the line items that are on the quote. If you do want to filter for a date range or stores, you'll have to customize your filter for those to add those search values. I'm just going to go ahead and preview. And again, it just takes a moment for the report to load. And if I scroll all the way to the bottom, oh, I have more than one page. By the way, when you go into these previews, if you ever look up here and you see 1/1 plus, that means there's just more than one page. So I'm just going to jump to the last page. So there's only 2. Now I'll scroll to the bottom and I can see I have 8 quotes for a value of $34.26. Just going to go ahead and exit. There's also a quote view that can be manipulated just like the voids and the holds. So I'm going to start at the beginning here. I'm going to go to point of sale, views, and view quotes. And same rules, if you're multi-store, you might want to filter down first before you go into your table view. I'm going to go into table view. And again, same rules. I can right click, I can column design the top half of the screen. I can right click, column design the bottom half of the screen to see the information that I want to see. I can also sort. Maybe I want to sort by date. So you can sort ascending or descending. Maybe I want to sort by time or by user. And just like with holds, You cannot delete quotes from this view. You can only delete quotes through point of sale. There is no bulk delete. You have to delete them one at a time. So I'm going to close out of here and show you how to do that in point of sale. So I'm going to get a point of sale, tickets, touchscreen. Now I have a hold recall button right here on my front menu. Not everybody does. You might have yours hiding somewhere. So if you need to find the hold recall button, it lives under more buttons. Now my more button is down here in the lower right hand corner. Yours could be anywhere down here in this fixed panel. Could be here at the upper left. But it's more buttons, quote hold functions, and hold recall. When you hold recall, the most recent hold that was created on this workstation will be the first hold to pull up. Now, if you have multiple workstations and you want to look at holds at all workstations within that store, just include other stations. And then you can actually go into this lookup to see your holds. And let's say this was a really, really long list and you're like, oh my God, I wonder how many holds are here. If you, this is a little trick you can do anywhere in Counterpoint to see how many records you have. If you right click on the title bar and you go to table information, I have 5 holds in this window. You can see it right down here. Now earlier there was a question about, well, what if I have a bunch of old holds and I want to get rid of those, but I don't want to delete the holds from today? That's pretty simple. Remember, the most recent hold is going to be the first one that pulls up. So if you come into your lookup, you can sort this ticket date, ascending or descending. Ascending is going to pull your oldest hold up to the top. Then you can select that old hold, click OK, and delete the hold. But again, you're going to have to delete them one at a time. There's no mechanism to highlight a series of holds and delete them all at once. Same is true with your quotes. Now, most people don't have a quote recall button on their front page, so it's going to be the same path. You're going to go to More, Quote Hold Functions, Quote Recall. Same thing with hold recall. The most recent quote created on this computer is going to be the first one that pulls up. If you want to see quotes for all your other stores, you can actually enable this switch here to include other stores. And if you want to see a list of the quotes, you can just go into this lookup. And if you have a huge long list here and want to know how many quotes are in here, go to the title bar, right click, go to table information, and you can see there's 8 quotes in here. If I want to delete a quote, I could sort this by ticket date. Sort ascending is going to bring the oldest quote to the top. I'm going to click OK, and then I can come in here and delete quote. And again, just like with the holds, there's no mechanism to bulk delete. You have to delete them one at a time. So next I want to talk about the drawer history, because you want to monitor your over and shorts. So I'm going to just go home here and start at the beginning. So anytime you post, anything you post becomes part of history, whether it's sales, receiving, your physical inventory, purchasing, adjustments, transfers. And history always stays in Counterpoint. It doesn't just leave Counterpoint. So if we go to point of sale, reports, history, we have the drawer history here. Now, by default, when you call up the drawer history, print drawer session detail is enabled. So if you have a lot of stores and a lot of computers at each store, this can be quite a lengthy report. So to really make it more summarized, what you want to do is uncheck that switch, enable print store totals, and then get print report totals. So you'll get a summary for each store for whatever date range you select, and then you'll get a grand total at the bottom. Now here it's really important to come to the Event tab and filter for a date range. Otherwise you're going to get this drawer summary from the dawn of time. So I'm just going to filter month to date. So M for the first day of the month, and I'm going to preview. And you can see here, I've got a little bit of an issue. So month to date, I'm missing 415.47. Now that's a cumulative figure for the entire month. So if I need to narrow down where that shortage happened, I'm just going to filter for smaller and smaller date ranges, find where that shortage happened, and then I'll actually exit here. Once I isolate the shortage day, I would probably want to print the drawer session detail and filter for the store where that shortage occurred. Earlier in the slide presentation, I talked about analyzing your high shrink areas. And I know some people, when they do a physical inventory and they go to look at their physical inventory reports, the reports are hundreds and hundreds of pages long. And it's very time consuming to just scroll through each and every page to find the category totals, to analyze those categories that have high shrink. So I'm going to show you a little trick for that. I'm going to go to inventory, reports, history, and I'm going to find the physical count history. Now, if I come into this event number lookup, every single physical inventory I've ever created is in this lookup. So you have one line that represents every posted physical inventory. And actually, I do so much playing around with my inventory that I'm going to filter for a series of events just so we get some feedback or some a report to actually look at. So I'm just going to go for a series of events here. I'm going to preview. Oh, here's a real important part of this. On the Parameters tab, Group by Category. That's key. I'm going to preview. And so this report should be a few pages. Oh, it's 4 pages long. So let's pretend it's hundreds and hundreds of pages. A technique you can use just to jump to the category totals is just to click on these binoculars. And the binoculars at the top of your screen, you're going to type category. And what's going to happen when you click on Find Next, it's just going to find this first word category. All right, well, that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for the category totals. So you'll just click on Find Next again, and that'll jump to the totals. So if I do Find Next, it just jumps to the next word category, but Find Next a second time will take me to the total. So it's basically 2 clicks to see each category total. Now earlier I showed you in point of sale how I could look up a total record count. That that tool lives everywhere in Counterpoint. So a game I like to play with some of my clients is how many SKUs in inventory do you have, or how many customers do you have? If you ever want to know the answer to that question, you could run a report, but there's an easier way to find out how many SKUs, how many customers, how many purchasing documents, on and on. So if I go to inventory, items, I'm going to come up here to the title bar, right click, go to table information, and you can see I have 136 total records. Now if I were in a filtered view, let's say I filter for everything Dunlop, and I click OK. When I come up here and right click and go to table information, you can see I have a total of 136 records, but only 9 records are from Dunlop. So just a tip or trick. That's your bonus training today. All right, let's jump back into this PowerPoint presentation. And we'll go from current slide. So your key takeaways today: knowing how to run those 3 loss prevention reports, returns, voids, price overrides, price exceptions. Of course, in this slide presentation, we saw some just basic loss prevention best practices and how to monitor your cash over and shorts by leveraging the drawer history report. So I'd love to get feedback. I'd love to get topic suggestions. You will get a survey sometime later today. You don't have to put your name on the survey. You can remain anonymous, but I do appreciate the feedback. Or if you don't want to fill out the survey, you can go directly to our website and fill it out. It's only like 3 questions. That's www.cksystem.com/training Bytes survey. And then before we go to the Q&A, mark your calendar, September 2nd, Wednesday. either 10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time or 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, we're going to talk about basic data dictionary functions. The data dictionary is this really great place where you can go to change label names. For example, on my item record, the word category doesn't have meaning to me. I would prefer that word category say department. Well, through leveraging the data dictionary, we can change that word category to department. And the nice thing is that when we do this through the data dictionary, it carries out through the entire software. So if on a report it was called category, now it's going to be called department. Making fields required. Every time my sales associates create a customer, they always forget to capture a phone number. Well, we can make fields required anywhere in Counterpoint so the record can't be saved until that field is populated. I'm also going to show you how to make keyword searches. A keyword search, you'll probably know when you go into a lookup, any lookup you go into, you default to the keyword search field, which is very powerful to search. But not all fields in Counterpoint are keyword searchable. Like by default, if you go into an item lookup and you want to search by vendor, that is not a keyword searchable field. So I will show you how to make fields keyword searchable. So that'll all be on September 2nd. So mark your calendars, save the date. And with that being said, I am going to go ahead and take some questions. So let's go here to my chat window. And looks like I got a few questions in here. Okay. The return report for Galaxy customers, that's a really good question because I don't know if you're capturing customers in Galaxy, but if you do a return in Galaxy, yes, you will see that return in Counterpoint. Your challenge is going to be is you're not going to know who the customer was. But the way you can use that to your advantage is, again, if you notice those returns spiking up, then you need to start talking to people. The other thing that return report doesn't communicate with Galaxy is your salespeople. So I think it just has a generic user record on the return, so you literally have to talk to everybody. But again, you'll raise awareness. Do the whole deletes have to be done at each store physically? Yes, they do. That's kind of the bummer about that. Okay, and I answered the return ticket report. Somebody else asked that. And so this is a good question. He wants to know how the returns pass through from Galaxy to CPV via the interface. It's just like any other ticket, except it's a return ticket. So if you were around to actually manually post and look at an unposted ticket report, you would see the return tickets in your edit list. So they definitely do pass through down to CP from Galaxy just like a normal ticket. All right, price changes. Not that I think of the POs having this functionality. This is another Galaxy question. Yeah, that price change report does. It's kind of weird in Galaxy. It doesn't pass through from Galaxy to Counterpoint. I think everything shows up as a price override, even though there was no price override, and again with a generic user. I actually run a drawer management report at end of day before the store's post, so I can see how the tills are counted. Yeah, I would do that. It's a different report. So the report I showed you was a history report, a posted version of what report you're running at the end of the day before the store's post. So there's, the drawer summary for today, and then there's the drawer history. Are these webinars recorded? Well, yes, they are. I'm glad you asked that. So the webinars are recorded. By the end of this week or early next week, you'll get a link in an email and you'll be able to view the webinar again, which is very, very nice. All right, any other questions? I'll just wait a minute in case somebody wants to think of something. And before we go, just want to thank everyone for their time. I really appreciate when you show up for the webinars, and I know your time is really valuable, so I do appreciate your attendance. Okay, will you be doing more on inventory? And yeah, we need to do price changes when we do a return to the gift shop, but both sessions. So, will I be doing more on inventory? In December, I'm actually going to do a webinar on physical inventory. And I don't quite understand the second part of the question. We need to do price changes when we do a return to the gift shop. So, Vivian, do you mean that when you're doing a return, let's say the return rings up at $9, but the client actually paid $10? Is that what you mean?
No, from my understanding, we do have to cut down on some of our prices, so we have to go individually in in the system to reduce prices because we have not been up there since March.
Got
So
it.
our
I hear
store has
what you're
been closed
saying.
since March. Yeah, so to go in and do inventory, I know that it's required for us to do our physical inventory, which we do the September 30th. But I'm not even sure if we're going to be getting up there. But how, or are you, will you be doing anything so that
Okay,
we
I'm
can
going to show you
make
a
it easy?
quick technique. Now, of course, your physical inventory has nothing to do with price changes. Those are two different animals. We understand that. So, as far as price changes, because this happens in the real world, you either increase the price or you decrease the price. And so most people think that uh, they can only do this at the item level, one item at a time. So I can show you a little technique to make that go a little bit faster. Let me get out of here. So a lot of people just call up the item record, oh, it's whatever item, and they just come in here and they modify this price field. And that can get very clunky doing that one item at a time. So a faster method would be to come here to table view because you can edit in the table view. Filter down to the items that you need to change, and you can just edit them right here. Does that help you out, Vivian? Okay, other than RT, Vivian, did that help you out? Did that answer your question?
Yes, can you say that one more time? I'm sorry.
That's okay. So what I did is usually when you go into inventory items, you're just looking at a single item. And so you'll get a list of items that you need to either raise the price or lower the price. And so you'll find the item and then you'll change this price. A technique to do that a little bit faster is to come to the table view. Now, in the table view, you get a list of your inventory, and you can edit in this view. Now, you can't edit protected fields like the item number or last cost, but you can edit price. Okay, so really nice and simple. And if you want to refine what you're looking at, you can come up here to the filter and filter down to, a grouping of items or a category of items, and then just make your edits that way. Does that help you out?
Yes, thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. Okay, I have another question. Other than RTVs, is there a way to do theft on the system and receiving? Um, sure, people think they're so clever, but they could, let's say you ordered 10 and there really are 10 in the box. They could actually receive 9 and not have the back order go to 1, zero out the back order, and then just take that merchandise home. So, absolutely. In my 20 years in retail, I think I'd seen it all, but people never cease to surprise me with some of the things that they think they're so clever in doing. So good questions, everyone. Very good questions. Okay, let's see if we have any more questions here. Okay, it looks like we're all done with questions. Well, again, thank you so much for your time today. Everyone have a fabulous afternoon, and I'll see you on September 2nd. Thanks.